I'm Mark Kushevsky from the Stritch School of Medicine, where I chair the Department of Medical Education and have worked on our DREAMER project there. Today's session, as you know, has 4 members from a task force that we've had across the university called the University Collaborative on Undocumented Student, or UCUS, as it was nicely an acronym. We want to talk to you a little bit about things that have been going on across the spectrum here at the university and a little bit about where we think the future is going. We're going to have 4 speakers. The first will be Catherine Kafka-Waltz from who directs the Center for Human Rights of Children at Loyola University Chicago, and she'll give you the overview of what Dreamers are, DACA, and all of these kinds of things, and the limitations and opportunities. I'll talk a little bit about the Stritch School of Medicine experience with this, because I think that both our experience has been informed by the values of the university and now has also contributed back towards that. Then we will have Kathleen Moss-Weigert, who, as many of you know, is the assistant to the provost for social justice initiatives at Loyola University Chicago. And she actually chaired and led the UCUS group and has put together the report. And then finally we'll have, last but not least, Flavio Bravo, who is the president of the Unified Student Government Association and was a member of our task force and has spearheaded many of the student-led efforts to welcome Dreamers to our university. So that's the introductions. In the interest of time, we'll just go to it one after another.
My name is Flavio Bravo, and I'm a junior at Loyola. I'm originally from Phoenix, Arizona. I went to a Jesuit elementary school in Phoenix and then a Jesuit high school afterwards. So I've been drinking the Jesuit juice for a while, and it's kept me healthy. But my parents, they're both court interpreters, so they work in the courts as legal interpreters for Spanish, Portuguese, sign language, and they're learning Navajo right now. And growing up, they've always kept my siblings and I updated about different policies, what they see in the courts, who's being profiled, and just the realities. And growing up, I remember it was my freshman year where I was so accepted. I was accepted to a Jesuit high school. And I was looking up to a lot of upperclassmen. But by my sophomore year is when I heard about what Santa Clara University had done. In the West Coast, it's near Stanford University. Santa Clara created the Alberto Hurtado Scholarship Program, which was a scholarship fund funded by the Jesuits on campus to fund, originally, similar to Loyola, 5 to 8 students. And they would be able to do what would be the equivalent of a work study position at the Jesuit residence community. And it seemed like a great way to support undergraduate students that were undocumented. And all of these stories, they just stick in your head. And so when I was applying to schools, of course, I applied to Santa Clara. My brother went to Loyola Marymount. But something excited me that I knew not many students from Phoenix go to Loyola Chicago. But also I knew that maybe it's a school that a lot of damage could be done for the good. And I thought that our location in Chicago, the work that Senator Durbin did with spearheading the DREAM Act, is really exciting. And so currently, again, Loyola does accept undocumented students. Faculty and staff have the opportunity, and now students as well, to participate in a training program called Share the Dream Zone, and that is sponsored by the Student Diversity and Multicultural Affairs Office. From the student perspective, we see this as that professors and staff members, they're taking their part in supporting undocumented students. When Father Garanzini signed the statement of support my freshman year, I had the opportunity to go to DC to see him publicly sign it. As a student, we see that Father Garanzini is putting his name out there and saying repeatedly that Loyola supports undocumented students. And student government, which is now called SGLC, the Student Government of Loyola Chicago, for the past 3 years, we've been thinking, well, what can we do? We've seen what Santa Clara has done. We saw the study. And in that study, one of the greatest takeaways was that 76% of faculty and staff that were interviewed agreed that admitting, enrolling, and supporting undocumented students fits the mission of the university. Students, we recognize all of this, undergraduate students as well. And each summer, when I would go back to Arizona, I worked in the admissions office, and I would talk with prospective students, and I would try and wow them with presentations about Loyola, showing them the lake and everything. And I mean, they would really love it. And then sometimes I would have students with big, bright eyes ask me, does Loyola support Dreamers? that was tough. And this past summer, they knew I was already elected student body president, and I had to say, yes, of course we do support undocumented students and dreamers. But the reality is maybe right now, in the summer of 2014, there's some other schools that maybe are ahead of us. And so I would keep in contact with them and make sure they knew about some other schools. A lot of small liberal arts colleges in Iowa, they don't look at citizenship status because I think they're really trying to maybe fill a diversity quota. It's a little bit different. And then the West Coast, well, there's just so much competition for Santa Clara, of course, Loyola Marymount, for those scholarship programs. And so that was really difficult to say that. But I know I'm not the only one. I'm sure every admissions counselor at most universities have to say that. But here, for student government, I stayed on campus over the summer when I was only in Arizona for a week, so the rest of the summer I was on campus as an orientation leader. And I met up with the president of the Latin American Student Organization and our vice president, Michael Fasula. And we went to Ed Moore from the Office of Financial Aid, and we met with the Donor Relations Office and asked how realistic would it be to open up a scholarship fund for undocumented students on behalf of the student body. The way to publicly say that the student body cares so much about this that they would be willing to sacrifice Starbucks for a day by giving $2.50, almost the equivalent bus fare in the city of Chicago. If all 10,000 undergraduate students did that, that'd be $25,000 a semester, which is not even, again, it could not even pay for one semester for one student, if that included room and board. We realized that, but the initial goal was that it would be able to match federal aid, whether that be a federal Pell Grant or a work-study grant, or work-study scholarship. Immediately, Ed Moore told us, he said, well, it's not that hard if you have the money. So for an endowed scholarship at Loyola, the requirement is $25,000. And when we were making up the criteria for the scholarship account, we looked at, well, what were other schools doing when Santa Clara decided to name their scholarship fund the Alberto Hurtado Scholars Fund. Alberto Hurtado was a Jesuit that did work in Chile, and we thought that was pretty noble, but in Chicago, especially, an undocumented student they could be Hispanic, Latino, they could be Polish, they could be Lithuanian. It really varies. And so we said, what is something that's really true to who we are at Loyola? And what was a way for the students to tell the university that we know we could be doing the more for this group of students? And so that's why we chose the Modus Scholarship Fund. Immediately caught the attention of the Jesuits on campus, and they're very excited to work with us. So far, the Modus Scholarship Fund, while we've been working with the Financial Aid Office and Donor Relations, we've also met with Phil Hale, who is also on the committee, the University Collaborative on Undocumented Students, and they explained to us that it's fairly easy to get public support once all the details are hashed out. So a lot of this is dependent on a referendum vote where the student body has the opportunity to decide would they be willing, out of their student development fee, pay $2.50. If that $25,000, if that went forward, then we would then reach out to alumni, of course. And already faculty and staff have said at the end of each semester, they've always had the opportunity on their tax forms to give back to the university. Why not for this as well, if it would support the Loyola community and students? Immediately, it was Erin Doyle that we worked with in Donor Relations Office. She was able to help us. It's already live, or create a portal on the website. So when someone donates to Loyola, they can pick, well, if they want to go to the School of Arts and Sciences, the School of Law, School of Nursing, and on there it actually says the Modus Scholarship. So already now, it's already public. When the provost announced that 5 scholarships were available, full ride, I mean, that was the cherry on top, because we knew that at least we had a little bit more time. We didn't have to rush anything. We could have that to really sustain us for a year at least. But now, if an alumni were to hear about that there's 5 full-ride scholarships, and they said, well, I would like to donate to that, they could funnel it through the Modus Scholarship. We know that Loyola community is large, so we really hope this is an entire community effort. The Ignatian Solidarity Network has taken notice of our work, and they asked me, they said, what do you want undocumented students to know if they're interested in applying to Loyola? And I think just from representing Loyola, the little admissions visits repeated, I would hope that they would know that if they receive their acceptance letter, they know that it's not just that they're being accepted, but that they're really being embraced by the community. I also hope that other Catholic and Jesuit universities can follow